welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting yet another reading vlog for you guys. Also, I found out last night that my lens can in fact be like more wide angle than it normally is, so this is a little bit different. I don't know how I'm feeling about it, but I wanted to try it anyway because, you know, you can see so much of my room now, it's crazy. But that doesn't matter. Anyway, today we are starting a little weekend reading vlog, which I'm so excited about. I have two kind of vampire-esque books that I want to read over the next couple of days, and I thought I would just share it with you guys. So let me talk about my TBR, then I have a very exciting package which I want to show you, which I haven't even had it for like 24 hours, but I didn't want to open it until I could like share it with you guys because oh my god, I freaked when I saw this because it's just crazy. But I will show you that after I show you the TBR that I have for this weekend. It is currently Thursday, so I have about 4 days that I'm planning to film this vlog over, so I should be able to finish both of these. First of all, I have a dark academia type book that I want to read, and that is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This, I believe, came out in February, I think, and I know this is on my 2024 TBR, so I'm really excited that I'm gonna get to like knock a book off of that as well. But I believe this is a Carmilla retelling, so I do think there are vampires in it, and it takes place at an abandoned, not an abandoned, I don't know why I said abandoned, in an isolated women's college in the hills of Massachusetts. There's rivals, there's weird student-teacher dynamics, I think, but I'm very interested to see what I think of this one. I've definitely seen some mixed reviews on it, but it sounds like something I'm absolutely gonna love. I'm absolutely gonna eat up. I cannot wait to get into this. And then the other book I got a couple days ago because my hold from the library came in, and I don't even think I truly realized how excited I was for this book. But when I got the email that said my hold was ready, I was like, oh, I need to read that now. Like initially I was gonna read this in October, but I'm thinking I just really want it now because it sounds fun. Sounds like it's gonna be kind of a silly goofy time because that's definitely what the first book was, and that is My Vampire Plus One. This is kind of a companion sort of book to My Roommate is a Vampire, which I read last year, and I really enjoyed it. I think I sat down and read it all in one sitting. So when I heard that there was gonna be a second book that followed like the friend of the vampire in the first one, I could not wait for this one. So I got my hold for it. I'm gonna read it this weekend. Honestly, this seems like the perfect kind of book to read over a gloomy weekend because I think it's gonna rain like a lot of this weekend, which I'm so excited about. Like, it's currently 9 in the morning and it is so dark outside, but that's not a complaint. I mean, like, the lighting could be better, but I will sacrifice the lighting of this video for the gloomy, moody weather. But yes, this is the other reading plan. I believe this has fake dating in it as well, which sounds like, it just sounds so good. Literally the tagline says, nothing sucks more than fake dating a vampire in this paranormal romantic comedy. And I love spooky paranormal rom-coms. Like, that's one of my favorite, like, very specific subgenres. So yeah, I'm also gonna be reading this one this weekend. So, you know, very different vibes we have for the books here, but they are both vampire books, so there is somewhat of a theme. I think I might also watch Twilight this weekend. It kind of feels perfect, you know? I haven't seen it in at least 3 months, so obviously I need to do a rewatch. And the first day of fall is in a couple days, so that'll be kind of just a nice little lead up to fall weekend kind of thing, even though you are seeing this like definitely after fall has started. But for me, fall is not here yet, but I feel like supernatural vampire kind of stories are the perfect thing for pre-fall, you know? So yes. Here are my reading plans. I'm just gonna keep it short, simple with these two, but I'm so excited about both of them, so I really wanted to share my reading experience with you guys. But now that we have chatted through the TBR, I'll like talk plans for the rest of the week. I was gonna say I'll talk plans. I don't have any plans for this weekend, but I have a package, which I must open. I must open it. Because look what we have here. Do you know whose signature that is? Because I do. I'm so excited. I requested, no, actually let's just open it because I've been waiting way too long to open this book. Also, it says classes in session on this. This is just so exciting. Also, sorry the box looks busted. I tore the shipping labels off of it so I could like hold it up and like not show the internet my address. So it's looking a little worse for wear. Oh, I'm gonna hurt myself if I, all right. Okay, here we go. Oh my god, wait, this is so cute. Oh my god, there's an edition of If We're Villains? Oh my god, I'm so excited about this. Look at her. Stop it. Look at her. Oh my god, okay. I requested an ARC of Graveyard Shift a while ago, and I truly did not think they were gonna send it to me. Although this isn't an ARC, this is like a finished copy. I'm so excited. Wait, what is this? What is this? Oh, there's a little nameplate. Oh my god. This is so fun. So I have a little finished paperback of Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. If you guys don't know, I'm sure you guys do. But I read If We Were Villains last year and I absolutely loved it. It's so good. It's my favorite dark academia book. So when I saw that ML Rio was coming out with another book, I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. So I truly cannot believe that I have this in my hands. So yes, I'm not gonna read Graveyard Shift this weekend, even though it's so short. I've had plans for a long time for this to be like a fall read, and because it's not exactly fall yet, I'm not gonna read it. But in my next vlog, I will be reading this, and I will hopefully be obsessed with it. Okay. But there are other fun things in here. Like, first of all, there's a copy of If We Were Villains. Oh my god, I love the spine. Look at this. I totally forgot they were coming out with this edition. It's got like red sprayed pages and like blood spatter and these fencing swords. I know there's a better word for it, but I don't know what it is. But look, oh my god, I love the spine. But there are also other fun things in here. There's a little like pennant. I would assume it's for the university that I think is like included. Oh, just listen to this. It says, on one dark October evening in the defunct churchyard, they find a hole that wasn't there before. A fresh open grave where no grave should be. But who dug it? And for whom? Oh, I want to know for whom. And then, oh, there's a little pencil. Oh, this is fun. Oh, it's got the college on it too. Nice. And then there's a little notebook. Oh, my hair keeps getting caught in my lip gloss. This is gross. I'm just trying to be excited. Stop it. It's got like a little crest on it. I don't know if you can see that super well. But then this last thing that's in here, I think it's like a little mushroom nightlight, but this is so cute. I don't know where I'm gonna plug it in now. I will find a spot for it because I must, because this is adorable. Also, if there's like mushroomy, planty horror, whatever kind of thing going on here, I'm into that. I'm very much into that. Considering there are mushrooms on the cover of this book, I'm gonna assume that's what we're gonna get. So, oh my god, this is just, it's crazy. I can't believe that they sent this to me. Thank you so much, Flatiron Books, for sending me a copy and this really cool box. This is just, oh, this is, I'm so excited. Like the fact that this is one of my most anticipated releases for the year. I need to calm down though, I really do. This book, getting read in my next vlog, but I need to chill. But I'm so glad we could have shared this moment together because this is one of the most exciting packages I've ever received. But anyway, exciting packages aside, I think it's time to get into the vlog. I definitely want to start out with An Education in Malice just because I think I'm the most excited about this one, so I want to start with the one that I'm like less excited about, you know? Gotta like build the anticipation a little bit. But I'm still very much thinking I'm gonna like this one too. So I'm gonna get into this a little bit this morning. Oh my god, the text on these pages is so large. So I'm just gonna get into reading An Education in Malice. I really hope you guys are excited for this little weekend vlog. Should be very chill, very rainy, hopefully. Very cozy. Like I said, I don't have a ton of plans. I'll probably do some journaling. I'll definitely do some reading. And aside from that, we'll just kind of see what I get up to. So let's get into reading this book. So it is currently Friday morning and I have made some progress with An Education in Malice, although I did not use a bookmark last night, so I don't remember how far I was. Why did I not use a bookmark? Let's choose one, because I definitely could use one. Maybe I'll use my little sword bookmark, because even though this isn't like pink, there are like flowers on here that kind of have a little bit of pink in it, so maybe I'll use that. I mean, that doesn't solve the problem that I don't know where I am, but at least I have a bookmark now. Right, okay, so I do know where I was now. I'm on page 163, so I think I'm about halfway through the book now, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I think I stopped at a turning point though, so I'm really interested to see how the rest of this book is going to continue. But so far we've been following our main character Laura, who just started her first year at St. Perpetua's Women's College, and right off the bat she gets invited to this upper level poetry class that not a lot of freshmen get into, if any, so she's definitely kind of an anomaly. And once she gets to class and she kind of reads out some of her poetry, it immediately sparks this like rivalry, hatred, obsession thing with this other girl in the class who is named Carmilla, because prior to Laura's arrival, Carmilla was kind of seen as, you know, like the best in the class, and she can't really handle the fact that she has any competition. And so far in this book we've just been following them as their rivalry has kind of developed and festered a little bit. Like, you can definitely tell it's kind of like a I hate you, but I also think you're really hot kind of thing, which are my favorite kind of like rival dynamics. Like, they're just always so fun. But there's kind of this whole other layer to this rivalry as well, because their professor previously kind of had this very close and strange and very inappropriate relationship with Carmilla. Like, very frequently Carmilla would go over to their professor's house and they would kind of hang out and do some other things. Maybe not exactly what you're thinking though, but still things that very heavily exacerbate the imbalance of power that they have in their relationship, obviously because one is a professor and one is a student. So they've had this whole thing going on for a while, but then when Laura comes into the picture, Laura also kind of starts getting invited over to these like poetry tutoring sessions of a sort. And obviously Carmilla is also like, first you come into the classroom and you outshine me, but now you are, you know, invading on these like personal meetings that I'm having with this professor. So Carmilla is just very not happy with Laura overall because she sees her as competition. And Laura also feels this weird like obsession, fascination, pseudo love thing for the professor, and she obviously does not want Laura to kind of come into that realm of their weird relationship either. So it's just a lot of like vying for the attention of this professor. I feel like the hatred is definitely mainly on Carmilla's side. I feel like for the most part it's completely one-sided at this point, so I'm really intrigued to see if that's gonna change, if it's gonna kind of continue on that way. I don't know. There have definitely been some things that have happened in the last chapter that I read that do change things quite a bit. But I'm very excited to see just how the rest of this book plays out. I feel like it's a very engrossing read. I feel like immediately you're drawn into this small college with its beautiful ivy-colored buildings and this rivalry and how much they hate each other but kind of love each other, and there's like, you know, weird things afoot, such as, are there vampires about? Are they going to suck the life out of the students of this college? Who knows? I don't know yet, but I'm very excited to find out. So I'm really loving the plot and the characters so far, but I would say the thing that I do love the most about this book is the atmosphere, because it is top notch. I do find it interesting though, because I don't think S.T. Gibson's writing is quite as like powerful and impactful and like flowery as it was in A Dowry of Blood. I feel like it's definitely different. I think it still maintains like the same dark, kind of sensuous tone that it had going on in A Dowry of Blood, but it does feel different. But the atmosphere is definitely still there because it is stunning. I feel like every day on this campus it's raining, everybody walking around campus is like looking fabulous in all their 60s attire, because honestly I did not realize that this book took place in the 60s. I definitely thought this took place modern day, but when I opened it up and it said it was like September of 1968, I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I just love the descriptions. Also, there was a Halloween party that went on in one of the last chapters that I read. It was based off of like Dante's Inferno, and it was like a 4-level party where like every time you went down a floor you were like descending into hell, which is such a cool concept. Like, why have I never been to a Halloween party with such extensive theming? I loved that. Like, it wasn't even a huge part of the book, but I was like, oh my god, we're at a Halloween party? Thank you. Like, that was so good. But just like the dark academia campus vibes have been absolutely immaculate, I must say. So all that to say, I'm just really enjoying this book so far. I'm really liking seeing S.T. Gibson use vampires again as kind of a metaphor, because in A Dowry of Blood, it kind of took a look at abusive relationships and it kind of used vampires to exacerbate the point a little bit, and that's definitely what's going on in here when looking at the relationships that professors can potentially have with students. And I just always think it's such a smart way to use vampires. So now that we're kind of getting into the more vampiric elements of the story, I really cannot wait to see where the rest of this book is gonna go. So yes, this one has been really good so far. I'm really enjoying it, but I think I might take a break on it this morning because I do want to get into a silly goofy vampire book. So I'm definitely going to read a little bit of this morning. I also think I want to do a little bit of journaling. I'm probably going to do my fall TBR spread, which I've not done yet, but I definitely need to do that because fall is almost upon us. And then I also do have some pango orders that I need to pack. So those are my plans for the morning. I don't know what my plans are for the rest of the day yet, but I'll figure those out at some other point in time. currently Friday afternoon. It's like 5 o'clock, I think. But I do have quite an update for you guys in my Vampire Plus One, and we need to talk about this book. Because I have thoughts. Not all of them are good, but like for the most part, they're pretty good. But I'm on page 179, so I'm like about halfway through it. I must say, this is an incredibly quick read. I feel like I sat down and read all of this in like no time at all. And like for the most part, I am having such a good time reading this book. But the only problem is that Reginald, who is kind of the love interest in this book, he's an interesting man. Maybe a little too interesting. The man just gives me such intense secondhand embarrassment. Like so many things he does, I'm like, I gotta put the book down. Like I can't read this right now. But the thing is, as a whole, I'm still really liking this book, you know? Okay, like let me tell you what this is about at least. Basically, we are following our main character, Amelia, which, you know, there's her on the cover. By the way, I absolutely love like the art style of this cover. Like it's very 50s comic book kind of inspired look, which I just think is so cool. But Amelia is an accountant and she really enjoys being an accountant. However, her family is not, you know, super thrilled about the fact that she's an accountant, even though she is very successful at her job. But the problem is her family isn't very supportive of her in like any aspect of her life. They don't really understand why she's an accountant and they don't really seem to care. Like they were just thrilled when her brother graduated law school. They like threw him a whole party. But she said that when she like passed her CPA exam, they gave her a briefcase and didn't do anything else for her. And my heart kind of broke for her in that moment because that is incredibly sad. We have a visitor, but it's not who you would think it is. Puppy never comes and says hi because she doesn't like me. She's only here because she's begging for food. I will go feed her after this update, I promise. Oh, now you went out, do you? Fine. You are so annoying. Anyway, sorry for the rude interruption. So they don't really care about her career. They don't really care about her eating habits as well because she is a pescatarian and she is lactose intolerant, but like nobody cares. Like they go to restaurants all the time that she can't eat at. When they're like catering things at their house, they don't make food that she can eat. So like, again, I'm pissed on her behalf. But then the worst thing is that she's the only one of her siblings who is currently not in a relationship. And her mother just finds this to be so weird. She's so concerned about her. Like, she's always asking her about it. She's always like nudging her in the direction of single men. And I'm like, ew, like that's not being a good parent. That's just basically saying like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you not normal? You know? So I'm pissed on Amelia's behalf that this is her family. But anyway, that setup is important, I promise, because going into like the actual plot of this book, she meets up with her family for dinner one night and it turns out that she has been invited to her cousin's wedding and they gave her a +1 and her mom is obviously like, oh, I got you a +1 so like you can bring a date if you want to, knowing full well that like Amelia doesn't have a boyfriend. However, Amelia, she's, you know, just kind of fed up with it. She's like, no, actually I do have a boyfriend and I'm bringing him with me, when she clearly has like nobody that she can actually bring with her. So she has to kind of scramble to find a date. So her family will get off her back basically, which is the saddest thing I've ever heard. But this is kind of where Reginald kind of comes into all of this. He is a vampire who was introduced in the last book. He was like the friend of Frederick. And through like some turns of events, they had like this weird like, you know, meet cute kind of thing before all of that happened. And somehow she saw him again and she convinced him to be her fake boyfriend. And he was very on board with this. He was like, this sounds like a great practical joke. Like, let's do it. I'm in. Which like, that's all well and good. Like, I love a good fake dating setup. It's always very fun. But Reginald is just such a character. Honestly, like he's the most unserious man I've ever read about in a romance book before, and he definitely gave that vibe in the first one. So I was like, how is this man gonna be a love interest? I don't know. But to give you some examples of how unserious this man is, at one point, let me find it. This is verbatim from the book. It says, "And there was my most prized possession, a framed oil painting of Edward Cullen on the wall above the sink, sparkly and magnificent as he gazed moodily into the middle distance. I didn't care what Frederick thought about Twilight. I fucking loved Edward Cullen." To be able to read minds, epic. Yeah, so there's that one. There's another one where he said his favorite TV show is the original Muppet Show, and it's the best fucking television program in history. So there's that. Also, his email address is rc69420. Like, he's just so unserious and like it's so funny, but in such a stupid way. Like, you can definitely tell he has a heart of gold under all of that interesting behavior, shall we say. But he's such an interesting love interest, and it's just such a different take on a romance because, you know, normally in romance books, the love interest is just like perfect and beautiful and like he always knows what to say. But Reginald is not that. He's really not that. I definitely think some of the comedy and some of the bits are very over the top, but some of them do kind of strike that perfect, like, silly, goofy rom-com kind of thing that I do typically really enjoy. So even though there are some things that I don't love about it, I'm still having such a good time and I can't stop reading it. Also, like, a running kind of bit in this book is the fact that Reginald wanted to tell Amelia that he was a vampire ASAP, so he did. But like, she did not believe him and she was like, oh yeah, for sure. She literally just thought it was one of his bits. So ever since he told her, he's been like making all of these like allusions to him being a vampire, and her obviously not actually thinking that he's a vampire. She's just like, oh, that's weird, and then kind of moves on when he's being so serious. But despite all of the secondhand embarrassment I'm having, I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a pretty good time. Like, if you want a really silly, goofy rom-com, this is gonna be the one. I feel like it's even more unserious than the first one, honestly, and I thought the first one was really unserious, but at least in that one, the love interest, he's like a very proper, chivalrous kind of guy. Reginald is not. However, I think they still are going to have a very cute dynamic because even though Reginald does all of this like wacky stuff, you can still tell that he's like really starting to care about her, and she kind of overworks herself a lot. And there have been a couple instances where he's been like, no, you need to like stop, take a break, like you can't work yourself to death kind of thing. So I'm just really, you know, liking it for those moments. I'm also really enjoying what's happening right now because they were supposed to go on this like couples weekend thing with her family, but there was a blizzard, so basically everybody else decided not to go, but they were already on their way to this cabin and they're about to get snowed in. And I'm like, what a solid kind of like forced proximity situation for them to be in. So I'm thinking my plans for the rest of the night are going to consist of reading this, probably finishing it, if we're gonna be honest. I wasn't expecting to start and finish this book today, but it is like a very fast read, and it is kind of addictive in its own way, so I think I definitely have plans to sit down and read the rest of this tonight, so that'll be really fun. I also need to figure out what I'm gonna have for dinner, so I should work on that, but like, first things first, I'm gonna get back into reading some of this. So it is currently Sunday morning. It's about 10 o'clock. It is currently the first day of fall, which I'm so excited about. I also have some stunning, moody, drizzly, rainy weather accompanying me this morning, which I could not be more thankful for, honestly. I also really want to watch Twilight today because of this like stunning weather. I mean, honestly, what a better way to start fall than with a rainy morning. Like, I'm just so happy. But as for some things that have happened since I last talked to you, first of all, I did some baking yesterday. It was some very impromptu baking. I wasn't planning on doing anything, but I was just kind of bored yesterday afternoon, and I do want to try to make like new fall dessert things that I haven't tried before. I mean, obviously I've made pumpkin like everything, so this isn't super different, but it is in a different form. They were initially supposed to be pumpkin bars, which I mainly wanted to make because one of my roommates sophomore year of college would always make pumpkin bars, and they were so delicious, and I've always wanted to try making them myself. But instead of putting it, you're supposed to put it in like a sheet pan kind of thing, but I decided to put it in a glass pan, and it kind of ended up more like a cake because I think I just made it too thick. I'm not mad about that though because it still tasted pretty good. It's not my favorite pumpkin thing I have ever made. I think my favorite thing honestly remains the cookies that I made in my last vlog because they were so good. But this was still really good too, so I hope you guys don't mind a little bit more baking. I know I just did some baking, but it was a little bit different. It was a little bit new. So that's kind of what I spent my day yesterday doing. However, on Friday, which I think was the last time I talked to you, I did finish up my Vampire +1, and I liked this one. I really did. I mean, I sat down and I read the entirety of it within a day, so obviously I enjoyed my time. And I do also think Reginald got so much better as a love interest. I feel like as we progressed further in their fake relationship and as we started to see more private moments between the two of them instead of just them going to these like wedding events, I feel like he was a lot more subdued and a lot more serious in those moments when it was just the two of them and you could actually see why he was like a good love interest, because he was honestly just so sweet and caring in those like quiet moments that they had, which I did really enjoy. I really liked him as a love interest overall. I mean, he's just something in the first part of this book, okay? But as the book progresses, he definitely gets a lot better and you really start to see their love story, which I just thought was so nice. But like, my main issue with how this book ended is the fact that the entire problem and the entire reason that our main character Amelia wanted to like lie to her family and say she had a boyfriend was because they wouldn't get off her back, and they thought it was really weird that she didn't have a boyfriend, and they didn't understand how she could be happy being single. And I feel like there was no resolution to that, honestly, because, I mean, I don't really know what I expected to happen because it's like a romance book, but I feel like, you know, her family didn't really just come to accept the fact that like they need to be happy with the fact that she is happy, whether she is single or not. But it was kind of just like, oh, everybody's happy now that Amelia has a boyfriend, basically. Which I just think is an interesting message for this book. I feel like it didn't really resolve any of the kind of minor issues that Amelia has with her family. Like, they don't respect her job anymore. They don't respect her eating habits anymore. And they still don't respect the fact that, you know, she was fine being single for so long. So I just don't know how I feel about that. And again, I know this is a romance book, so like, what was I expecting? But I just feel like Amelia's whole dynamic with her family, nothing really happened with it. Like, we introduced these issues as a reason for why the fake dating was happened, but I feel like nothing else really happened with them. I don't know, like, obviously Amelia went through some personal growth in this book and she realized that she likes her job, and like, she did kind of some cool things towards the end involving her job that made things a little bit more exciting for her, which I like. But I just feel like the lack of support that her family had for like everything she did, nothing happened with it, which I don't like. But despite that, I still had a really fun time with this book. As I said, I read the entirety of it in a day, and I feel like it's been so long since I've wanted to sit down and read the entirety of a book in a day. Obviously, like, it's a romance book, so it is very easy to read, but it's also like almost 400 pages, and I feel like that's a lot to read in a day. So I just had such a nice reading experience with this. I feel like it was the perfect way to spend my Friday. I also just love vampire romance. I feel like I don't read enough of it because I know there's like vampire romance and a bunch of different kind of, you know, genres like fantasy, contemporary. What I really want are more like contemporary vampire stories because they're always just such a good time. Like, you know, unsuspecting human main character finds out her boyfriend is a vampire. tea. Honestly though, like, I must know, how would you react if you found out the person you were dating was a vampire? Would you break up with them? Would you be kind of into it? I kind of want to know. Not surprisingly, I think I would be stoked. Like, I think I'd be a little bit scared. But once I got over that, I feel like, oh, you know? Like, I think I would definitely be into it. But yeah, I think those are kind of all of my thoughts on this book, although I don't think I've really talked about the thing that's kind of going on in this book aside from the romance. Because in the beginning of this book, we are introduced to this kind of vampire vigilante group that is called the Collective, and we find out that they have been after Reginald for years because they think he started the fire that ended up killing a bunch of their sires. And even though they're not like 100% sure that Reginald did it, they've still been after him for like decades, you know? So throughout the entirety of this book, we're kind of just seeing Reginald on the run from this vampire vigilante group, and kind of towards the end of this book, after things got resolved with the romance a little bit, we kind of started to focus on that a little bit more, which I found to be somewhat interesting. It wasn't like my favorite thing, but I did like the addition of that to this romance story. I feel like it was also kind of interesting to hear about like some vampire lore in this world as well, so I thought that was kind of fun. So yeah, this is just a very solid read, very wacky. If you liked the first one and if you like the humor of the first one, obviously this is gonna be like right up your alley. But if you don't like things that are a little too unserious, don't pick this up because you will hate it. But I had a fun time. So those are my final thoughts on my Vampire Plus One. I really had a good time with it, and I have not made any more progress with An Education in Malice yet. I'm still on page 163, but I definitely plan to finish this up probably today, I'm thinking. I mean, it's a really fast read. I mean, like, do you see the text on these pages? It is huge, so I definitely think I will be able to finish this up today as well. I also feel like it's, you know, the perfect moody weather to read this book. However, this morning, I'm thinking I want to do a little bit of work in my Hobonichi because I've been doing a terrible job at keeping up with this in September, and that makes me sad because I was having such a fun time using it, but I've just kind of fallen off with it. Like, here's the first week of September. Nothing. Not a thing. Here's last week. 3 pages filled out, did not, you know, do any more. But last night I went through and I like filled out this week, and I will like write something in there for Sunday as well. And I want to do my little collage thingy for this week. So, you know, I'm gonna do that this morning. I think I might also go for a little bit of a walk, like a short walk. Nothing major, but I just want to get outside. I want to enjoy the beautiful weather. It's not like actively raining, I don't think. So those are kind of my updates for this morning, kind of, you know, the last couple things I want to do in this vlog. So yes, let's just get into enjoying the first day of fall. So it's the next day. I honestly had such a stunning first day of fall. It was so beautiful. It was so rainy. I watched Twilight. Actually, I watched like half of Twilight. I watched the first half and then I got a little bored, so I did not watch the second half. Maybe I'll get back to it at some point. But the first half of Twilight is superior. I'm just glad I had such a nice day yesterday, but I am here to wrap up the vlog because I have finished the couple of books that I said I wanted to, and I started another book, which is like no surprise to anybody, which we'll talk about in a second. But first, I have some book mail, which I'm very excited about because I've known this is coming. I just did not know when. But let me just open it and then we'll talk about it. Ta-da! Ah! Look at her. I'm so excited about this. Okay, so this is The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. The lovely people over at HarperCollins sent me a copy of The Kiss Curse when it came out, and they emailed me a couple weeks ago and they asked if I wanted this one. I was like, first of all, hey. Absolutely, I want a copy of The Wedding Witch because I'm very excited about this one. This is the third and final book, I believe, in the companion series that the X-Hex is a part of, so you all know I love the X-Hex. I mean, this is actually the book that I started reading. I'm not very far into it, but I did start reading it. But I believe this book comes out on October 8th. Potentially. Yes, there we go. And it is following, I believe, another one of Reese's brothers, but apparently our two main characters get transported back to 1957 and they have to work together to get back to the present. That sounds really fun. Like, that's such a cool concept for a romance book. So I cannot wait to get to this one. Thank you again so much to HarperCollins for sending me a copy. I feel like I've gotten so much fun book mail this week. Like, this is crazy, honestly. I feel so thankful. So yeah, you will see me reading this soon. Not too soon because we need to get through Halloween stuff first, but like soon I will pick it up and hopefully it'll be as fun as the first two in this series are. But book mail done. Let me talk about the book that I finished since the last time that I talked to you, because I did finish up An Education in Malice and I didn't dislike the second half of this book. I thought it was fine, but I was honestly just a little bit bored. As I said earlier in this vlog, I really enjoyed the first part of this book. I just feel like the vibe was there, the academic rival tensiony bits were there, and I was having a good time. But I feel like once I got to the second half of this book, instantly our rivals are lovers, and I was like, when did that happen? Like, as I moved into the second part of this book, the way our two main characters were treating each other was just vastly different from the way they were treating each other in the first part of this book, but I feel like there was no bridging of that gap. I was like, how do we get here? Why do they not like kind of hate each other still? I don't know. It was just a very like abrupt switch. And I wanted more of like a transition between that. And I got a little bit bored with them after that. I was like, all right, like, I don't know how we got here. It felt very insta-love, even though you had kind of been building this tension for the entirety of the first half of this book, but then like, bam, the tension was just gone. I did really like what those more vampiric elements brought into the story. I enjoyed those a lot. I feel like it definitely kind of contributed to the vibe, but I feel like the second half of this book didn't really have much of a vibe. It was just like vampires doing vampire things, and you know, some of them I was like, this is fun. At one point they went to this very, you know, dark and sensuous vampire party, which I was definitely into. I liked that part a lot, and like some of the characters that cropped up in it, I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. But you know, after that I was kind of just like, I don't know. I really liked a lot of the discussions that this book had. I feel like especially setting it in the 1960s, there was a lot of talk about our main character Laura being queer and kind of embracing her sexuality. And I enjoyed those parts a lot, and kind of seeing that through the lens of it being 1960 I thought was interesting. And then throughout the book you also had kind of their weird dynamic with their professor, and it kind of took a look at those, you know, just strange, inappropriate relationships that students can have with their teachers sometimes, and kind of what that does to the student and how it makes them act. So I really liked those, but I just feel like the story kind of fell off for me personally, because I really loved the first part of this book, but I just feel like the second part I was like, it was fine. I enjoyed it, but it just, I don't know, it felt like a very abrupt switch from like the first part to the second part. But overall, I still definitely liked it. If S.T. Gibson does anything else with vampires, I will be picking it up because I do love when she uses them. But, you know, this book was fine. And then while I was working on my Hobonichi yesterday, I did listen to my audiobook for the X-Text a little bit, although I have not moved my bookmark. So I have no idea where I'm at, but I would assume I'm like a third of the way through it or so. Obviously, I need to do my annual reread of the X-Text. It's so fun. It's so good. Although on this reread, it's really making me think about the fact that Vivian and Reese only knew each other for like 3 months, and like they are so down bad for each other. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's 9 years later and they're still feeling like this. I know this is a common complaint that I've seen about this book, and I feel like I've never really noticed it before, but like on this reread I'm like, alright. I'm still having a really fun time with this because this is just the perfect autumnal, spooky, witchy romance. You guys already know. You already know. But that is all I will say about the X-Text for now. Anyway, I am here to end the video because I have finished the 2 books that I set out to read in this video. Honestly, I've had such a lovely weekend. It's been so nice. It's been so rainy. It's not rainy today. The sun is out and shining, and it's gross, honestly. Anyway, let me get a quick wrap up on the books that I read in this video, and then I'll let you go. It's gonna be a very quick wrap up because I read this one, which I liked a lot, and this one, which I liked a little bit, I guess. So yeah, 2 stunning vampire books for the weekend. I do love a good vampiric story, so these were both still pretty good reads. I would love to know down below if you guys have read either of these books because I would love to chat about them with you guys. I would love to know your thoughts. What did you think of An Education in Malice? Did you like it? I feel like I've seen definitely like some dissenting opinions on it, so I'd love to know what you guys thought. Also, just in general, I would like to thank you guys so much for the lovely comments that you leave on like all of my videos. I unfortunately do not have the time to respond to all of them, but I do read all of them, and they seriously do make my day. Like, especially on, I think it was my 24-hour readathon that I posted recently. The comments from you guys are just so nice, and I feel so thankful for you all every time I get to like look at all the lovely comments that you leave. And even if you don't leave comments, just thank you so much for watching my videos. It just astounds me that I have such lovely people who watch my videos, so thank you so much. It makes me so happy. But with that, I am actually gonna let you guys go. I hope you're all having an amazing Monday or whatever day it is that you're watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.